There are a number of hurdles facing the United States Census this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but this is not only the reason that the census could disproportionately impact communities of color.
Sean Gallagher shows us how the census counts in certain areas of the state are not representative of its true residents.
Waupun is home to the two largest maximum security prisons in the state. And because of the way the census works, 1 out of every 4 people in this town are either behind these walls or another prison just down the road. The Waupun Correctional Institution looms large in town. Between this and Dodge Correctional, there are nearly 2,800 inmates here. That accounts for just under 25% of the city's population. It's an issue known as prison gerrymandering. The inmates are considered part of the population of the city they're housed, even though they have zero impact on the outcome of elections.
This has had a distorting effect on political representation, and Wisconsin has some of the most dramatic examples in the entire country.
Wanda Bertram is a spokesperson for the Prison Policy Initiative. She says in towns like Waupun, the residents carry more weight politically.
Because of that, what we're seeing is that political representation is effectively being taken away from communities of color that send large numbers of people to prison, and overwhelmingly prison gerrymandering tends to boost political representation in districts that house prisons, which are typically white.
We know in Wisconsin, African Americans are disproportionately jailed. Though they make up less than 7% of the state's population, African Americans account for 43% of the state's prison population. So they're not counted from the communities they're from.
Look at the Constitution's preamble. It says, "We the people of the United States." So they said, well, representation should be based upon the number of people.
Margot Anderson's a retired professor of history and urban studies at UWM. She says the act of prison gerrymandering can further disenfranchise voters of color. In the district Waupun Correctional is in, prison gerrymandering effectively gives each group of 24 actual residents as much political clout as 100 people in other districts.
It sort of gives a sort of slightly misleading impression of the population of those rural areas, and it takes away people who actually sort of think of themselves as belonging to the communities they came from.
However, prisons can cause an unnecessary burden to the communities they're in. Bertram says hospitals can see more activity, roads and other utilities can face higher traffic than they normally would. All of this very costly.
That's not something that counties should be left high and dry to deal with on their own, but the solution is not to distort democracy in order to solve those problems.
I've reached out to the mayor of Waupun as well as the state representative for this district, Michael Schra. Neither were available for comment. In Waupun, Sean Gallagher, TMJ4 News.